24-year-old male engineer in Mumbai. In 2019 June, that is 2 years ago, came with complaints of fever and cough. Was treated as lung abscess based on X-ray, and sputum showed a Pseudomonas infection. He had no improvement.
So, is the drug of choice for Pseudomonas infection?
Sir, third generation cephalosporin, sir. Ceftazidime, sir.
Any other option you have?
Sir, anti-Pseudomonas penicillin, sir. Piperacillin tazobactam, carbanicillin.
Any other option?
Sir, ciprofloxacin, fluoroquinolone, sir.
Why this lung abscess is not improving?
Sir, the lung abscess can be either of a different etiology, sir. Like it can be a fungal etiology. In that case, fungal abscess will not improve with the treatment for Pseudomonas, sir. Or it can be, the Pseudomonas can be resistant to the antibiotic which is given, sir.
Any other option? Whenever lung abscess is not clearing, what are the come to your mind?
Sir, it could be a close mimicker for lung abscess can be a malignancy, sir.
That's good. So let us see the X-ray of this patient.
Yes, sir. It occupies the right lower lobe and middle lobe, sir.
Can you see an abscess, the thick walled cavity?
Sir, abscess can be any metastasis, sir. It can be a cavity, sir, due to a TB. It could be on the.
Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
So, what is the importance of the wall of the cavity?
Sir, we have to see whether it's a thick-walled cavity or a thin-walled cavity, sir.
This is
Sir?
Thick wall, am I right?
Sir, it's a thick-walled cavity, sir.
So, what are the possibilities?
Sir, we get thick-walled cavities in tuberculosis, histoplasmosis, coccidioidomycosis, metastasis. CA lung can have a thick-walled cavity, sir. And then blastomycosis can have a thick-walled cavity.
What about lung abscess?
Lung abscess has a thick-walled cavity, sir.
So, which condition produces thin-walled cavity?
A superficial tuberculous cavity can be thin-walled, sir.
So, classically, the tuberculous cavities are thin-walled, and they get a secondary infection, they become thick-walled.
Yes, sir.
Is this cavity tuberculosis or lung abscess? Is there a fluid level here? You cannot make out.
Yes, sir. Not able to make out, sir.
So, in a case of tuberculosis, do you get a fluid level?
In the case of tuberculosis, it's very rare, sir. We don't get a fluid level, sir.
Which are the scenarios where you get a fluid level in tuberculous cavities?
Sir, when there is a rupture of the cavity, there is a bronchopleural fistula, we can get a fluid level, sir.
The fluid level is commonly seen when there is secondary infection producing lung abscess.
Yes, sir.
And if there is a bronchial stenosis, endobronchial tuberculosis, you may get a fluid level.
Yes, sir.
You may get a fluid level if you do X-ray, and just before X-ray, there is bleeding into the cavity, you can have a fluid level.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, then, patient did not improve, so what happened?
Bronchoscopy was done. Bronchoalveolar lavage showed gene expert was rifampicin resistant. Second line probe assay INH and fluoroquinolone resistant. CT revealed thick-walled cavity in the superior segment of the right lower lobe, sir.
So, do you get rifampicin resistant type of tuberculosis?
Yes, sir. Rifampicin resistant. There are tuberculosis where it can be only rifampicin resistant, or it can be both rifampicin and isoniazid resistant, sir.
It is said that commonly you don't get a rifampicin resistant alone. If there is some rifampicin resistance, along with that, other drugs will also be resistant commonly.
Yes, sir.
So here there is a proof that this patient is having tuberculosis.
Yes, sir.
Commonly, which lobe is affected in tuberculosis?
The upper lobes are affected in tuberculosis, sir.
Can you tell some scenarios where lower lobe is affected?
Sir, in tuberculosis, lower lobe, in atypical mycobacterium, lower lobes can be affected, sir. Like mycobacterium AVM complex, you can see, sir.
This patient is not atypical, it's a typical case. So,
Yes, sir.
tell two scenarios where you can have lower lobe tuberculosis. One is
Sir,
diabetes, second one is HIV infection.
yes, sir.
So, this patient was administered the following drugs. Can you please read?
Sir, he was administered kanamycin, moxifloxacin, clofazimine, ethionamide, and cycloserine, sir.
Okay. So, what happened next?
In December 2019, bedaquiline and stopped
Bedaquiline was added and stopped kanamycin.
added linezolid also, sir.
Also added linezolid. So, instead of kanamycin, two other drugs were added. So, altogether, he is on 6 drugs, namely moxifloxacin, clofazimine, ethionamide, cycloserine, bedaquiline, and linezolid. Okay. And how long you will give the bedaquiline?
Sir, bedaquiline has to be given for 2 months, sir.
6 months. So,
Okay.
December to June, he had 6 months bedaquiline.
Yes,
Course
sir.
was over, so it was stopped.
Yes, sir.
And his ECG was normal. Why do you want to take the ECG for these patients?
Sir, bedaquiline can cause prolongation of QT interval, sir. So we need to see the risk of arrhythmias. Also, when we give moxifloxacin and bedaquiline, there is an increased chance of QT prolongation, sir.
Okay, carry on.
The patient developed symptoms of pins and needles on all 4 limbs. Peripheral neuropathy was thought of due to linezolid. So the dose was halved and subsequently it was stopped, sir.
So, okay. Then what happened?
In August 2020, he developed a fever and was treated for viral fever, sir. In September 2020, patient started swaying to the left side and fell and subsequently turned worse. Detected vitamin D deficiency and was supplemented.
So, why do people fall to the left side? Sideways?
Sir, probably he had a cerebellar infarct, sir.
Cerebellar disease. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Which are the situations where people fall backwards?
Sir, in Parkinson plus syndromes, they fall backwards, sir.
And which condition they fall forward?
Sir, they can fall forward in case of Alzheimer's disease, sir.
No. Fall forward is classical for Parkinson's disease.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Parkinson's disease. And
Yes, sir.
it was needed to have vitamin D deficiency. Can it produce swaying?
Yes, sir. But
What does it produce?
osteomalacia, weakening of the bones, sir. So fatigue it can produce, sir.
Can it produce involvement of the nervous system?
Yes, sir. Vitamin D, no, sir.
Yes, it produces proximal muscle weakness.
Yes, sir.
They commonly come with waddling gait and unsteadiness.
Yes, sir. In December 2020, the person went into depression and was thought to be due to cycloserine, and so it was stopped.
So one by one, different drugs are getting into trouble.
Yes, sir.
Kanamycin had problems, then bedaquiline completed, then linezolid had problem, now comes cycloserine. Okay.
January 2021, patient started worsening. ATT was modified, stopped moxifloxacin and added IM amikacin, clofazimine, ethionamide was continued.
Okay. He underwent many investigations outside the hospital before
Yes, sir.
he came to us. So,
CSF, normal autoantibody profile was negative.
it was basically normal and the autoantibody profile was negative. Why it was done is because the patient is deteriorating in spite of proper anti-tuberculosis treatment.
Yes, sir.
Whether there's any other etiology, because it was preceded by short febrile illness. So that hospital thought that possibilities can be autoimmune encephalitis, and the whole thing was done.
Yes, sir.
Then
Anti-TPO antibody was negative, sir.
why it should be done?
Sir, anti-TPO, Hashimoto's can present worsening, sir, like swaying symptoms,
What's it
depression.
called? Hashimoto's encephalopathy.
Yes, sir, Hashimoto's encephalopathy, sir.
Okay. So other antibody GAD65 was done negative, and
Yes,
MRI was done.
Yes, sir.
Then
MRI brain and spine showed a questionable infarct at multiple sites and query small vessel ischemia, sir.
what may be the reason for that?
Sir, it can be obliterative endarteritis caused by TB, sir.
And in that particular hospital,
Corson Hospital, the patient continued to deteriorate, started having visual hallucinations, became bedbound. Consultant psychiatrist who prescribed antipsychotics and escitalopram later developed a tremor and came back to hospital.
came to our hospital. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So what is hallucination?
Sir, hallucination is a different perception of an object, sir.
Okay. So what is the difference between visual hallucination and auditory hallucination?
Sir, visual hallucination, if the patient sees a pen, the patient will say that it is like a cell phone or a purse or something, sir.
Okay.
And then auditory hallucination, it is like as if a third person is talking in their brain always, sir. The person won't be there, but they will think that a person is talking.
That's right. Commonly, visual hallucination indicates organic disease, and commonly the auditory hallucination goes with the psychiatric illnesses.
Yes, sir.
But seizures coming from temporal lobe can have auditory hallucination, and you can have visual hallucination in psychiatric disease also, rarely. So,
Yes, sir.
so what is the reason why he has developed tremor?
Sir, a tremor, the patient was given antipsychotics. The psychotics can act on the dopamine receptors and that can produce extrapyramidal symptoms. Tremor could be one of the extrapyramidal symptoms, sir.
So he came to our hospital and we found these are the findings.
Sir, vitals normal, higher mental functions, disoriented, agitated, incoherent speech, hallucinations present, cranial nerves essentially normal, motor system cannot walk, no wasting rigidity, all four limbs with cogwheel.
No wasting. Rigidity was present all four limbs with cogwheeling.
Moves all four limbs, deep tendon jerks all exaggerated, ankle clonus was present, plantar extensor bilateral, left upper limb finger nose test positive, truncal ataxia was query, involuntary movements rest tremors, myoclonus of all four limbs even during sleep. Sensations grossly normal, no meningeal irritation, other systems within normal limits.
So,
So,
how do you make out now?
sir, it could be a disseminated TB, sir.
So how do you explain each finding?
Sir, the patient had, in that CT report, patient had MRI brain showed a small vessel infarct at multiple sites, sir.
Okay.
So the etiology could be vascular infarcts, small endarteritis at different sites, which can explain this, sir. Hallucinations if the visual association area is affected. Cogwheeling if there are basal ganglia infarcts. And frontal infarcts which can cause increased deep jerks, plantar extensor bilateral. And this left upper limb finger nose test positive and truncal ataxia can be explained by cerebellar infarcts, sir.
Okay. So when plantar is extensor, where do you localize the lesion?
Sir, it's a upper motor neuron lesion, sir. Corticospinal tract, sir. Pyramidal tract, sir.
So where is the lowest limit and where is the upper limit? When you have extensor plantar, where can be the topmost lesion, anatomical localization. Welcome lowest localization.
Sir, uppermost can be in the layer 4 giant cells of bits, sir.
That's-
The cerebral.
That's good. Lowermost point.
So the lowermost can be at the spinal level, sir.
What level? If you say C1, C2, like that, to what level it goes?
Sir, up to L2, sir.
No, up to L5.
L5, sir.
So L5. Plantar response sensory component is S1 and motor
Yes, sir.
component is L5, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this patient ankle clonus, what does it mean to you?
Sir, ankle clonus means that the patient has hyper exaggerated reflexes, sir.
It indicates extreme form of tone.
Yes, sir.
Extreme form of tone, increased tone.
Yes.
And what does truncal attacks indicate to you?
Truncal ataxia indicates that the patient has a cerebellar lesion, midline lesion, sir.
Midline cerebellar lesion.
Yes, sir.
And myoclonus was present in all four limbs. Can you tell some definition of myoclonus?
Sir, myoclonus is a minimal jerky movements resembling fasciculation, sir.
They are very violent movement, moving the joints.
Yes, sir.
They are not slow movements, it is very abrupt movements involving a group of muscles. And it just very violent movement occurs and the whole limb may go into extension or flexion or swinging.
Yes, sir.
Which are the involuntary movements that is sleep, even present even during sleep?
Sir, myoclonus can be present even during sleep, sir.
Can you name few conditions where myoclonus is seen?
Sir, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, myoclonus can be seen, sir.
That's the viral disease, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Slow virus disease,
So, Prions disease, Whipple's disease, myoclonus can be present, sir.
Okay. So, what does this rest tremor indicate to you?
Sir, this resting tremor indicates that there is a lesion in the basal ganglia, sir.
So, what may be the reason for myoclonus in this patient? Do you think a prion disease is possible here?
Sir, prion disease is possible, sir, because antibody is negative. But we have evidence for tuberculosis also, sir.
That's right. Okay, let's move forward. So, what is the summary of the findings?
Sir, it could be a vascular lesion, sir, vascular infarcts, a tuberculosis obliterative endarteritis, which can be present due to the varied localization, because there are lesions in the cerebellum, spinal cord, ankle clonus is there, myoclonus is there, and exaggerated reflexes, sir.
So, can you tell some differences between rigidity and spasticity?
Sir, spasticity is velocity dependent, sir. Rigidity is velocity independent, sir.
Any other difference?
Spasticity occurs more in UMN lesions, sir. Rigidity is more in case of a degenerative disorder like Parkinsonism, sir.
What is the distribution of rigidity and what is the distribution of spasticity and rigidity? What is the difference in distribution?
Sir, in case of spasticity, the flexor group of muscles are more involved, sir.
Anti-gravity group of muscles.
Yes, sir.
And in case of rigidity?
Rigidity, the gravity muscles are involved, sir. Muscles involved in gravity.
No, rigidity, it's universal.
Okay, sir.
And what is the difference in the technique of examination for demonstration of spasticity and rigidity?
In case of testing the spasticity, we have to just fix a joint and check for spasticity, sir.
Now, when you examine for spasticity, since it is velocity dependent, you make very quick movements.
Yes, sir.
When you look for rigidity, you go very slow.
Yes, sir.
So that is the another difference between the two. Okay. So let's go to some of the definitions in relation to this type of resistant tuberculosis. So what is by drug resistant tuberculosis?
Sir, if the organism is resistant to either one of the the 4 drugs which are used, isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, in that case, it's called any one drug. It's called as drug resistant tuberculosis, sir.
What is monoresistant?
Only one drug, sir. Either rifampicin. Yes, sir.
What is poly drug resistance?
More than one, sir. It can be either rifampicin pyrazinamide or rifampicin isoniazid or rifampicin ethambutol. Any 2, sir. 2 or more than 2.
But not INH and rifampicin together. Okay. What's MDR TB?
Sir, multi-drug resistance TB is defined as it's resistant to both rifampicin and isoniazid, sir.
And possibly other drugs also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is pre-extensively drug resistant tuberculosis?
The organism is resistant to first line the drugs and second line injectable also, sir. Kanamycin.
No, the pre-extensively drug resistant tuberculosis is when it is resistant to INH, rifampicin and fluoroquinolones.
Yes, sir.
And what is extensively resistant drug resistant tuberculosis?
INH, rifampicin, fluoroquinolones, and any other second.
One more drug.
Second. Yes, sir.
One more drug. And what is totally drug resistant tuberculosis?
It is resistant to all drugs, sir. Even pyrazinamide, linezolid, ethambutol,
Okay.
cycloserenite, sir.
What is meant by primary resistance and secondary resistance?
Sir, primary resistance is that the bacteria itself is resistant to the drug, sir. Secondary resistance, it acquires resistance during the course of therapy, sir.
So primary resistance, the patient has not received the drugs earlier.
Yes, sir.
Can you name the drugs for tuberculosis?
Sir, rifampicin, isoniazid, ethambutol, pyrazinamide, and then kanamycin, amikacin, capreomycin, streptomycin, fluoroquinolones, moxifloxacin, levofloxacin, bedaquiline, linezolid, cycloserine, ethionamide, PAS, thioacetazone, ethionamide, that's all, sir. Clarithromycin, azithromycin are also nowadays used, sir.
Delaminate?
Newer drugs are bedaquiline, delaminate, pretomanide,
That's right.
prednisolone. Yes, sir.
There are newer drugs also. So the primary drugs you already mentioned 4, but in the primary drugs, can you add rifabutin and rifampicin also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rifabutin and rifampicin in case of HIV, we can add, sir.
What are the predictors for drug-resistant TB?
Sir, in case of drug-resistant TB, predictors are whether the patient is a defaulter, history of being a defaulter, whether he has already received the first generation drugs, rifampicin, isoniazid, ethambutol, pyrazinamide, sir.
So one predictor is patient has already received the drugs. Second
Yes,
predictor is patient is deteriorating.
Yes, sir.
And the third possibility is coming from an area where a lot of resistant strains are there.
Yes, sir.
Or he is working or living with a person who is known to have resistant tuberculosis. So these are the possibilities that comes to our mind. So what are the risk factors for drug-resistant tuberculosis?
Sir, a past history of TB, sir. He had a past history, recovered, and now he again comes with TB. We have to check for drug resistance, sir. And then now TB affecting any other organ than the last time. Like in case the first time it affects the lung and now it affects the GI, you have to suspect drug resistant TB, sir.
persistent disease or progressive disease, or people who do not turn to acid fast bacillus negative status in spite of treatment. And you rightly said, poor adherence, poor supervision, poor selection of drugs, inappropriate regime, those situations are the ones we have got. But when there is no prior history of TB, what are the risk factors? As you already told, it may be exposure to a person in close contact who is having resistant tuberculosis, or you are traveling to an area where there is resistant tuberculosis, or you are residing in an area where there is resistant strains, or you are working in some place like that.
Yes, sir.
Also, when somebody is migrating your country from a different country, okay. So we have a lot of problems coming up. So how do you select a treatment when there's INH resistant strains?
Sir, in case of INH resistant strains, we have to, first thing you have to check is whether rifampicin is resistant also or not, sir.
No.
Then the duration gets longer, sir. We give rifampicin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, and then continue with the pyrazinamide and ethambutol alone, sir.
No, you have to add 4-drug regime here. So you go here with the rifampicin, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, and levofloxacin for 6 months duration.
Yes, sir.
Suppose the patient is not tolerating pyrazinamide, what do you do?
We have to switch to cyclosarin or ethionamide, sir.
No, you can go ahead, you omit pyrazinamide from the regime and add fluoroquinolones, and
yes,
then
sir.
give for 9 months treatment. Rifampicin monoresistant is not commonly seen. So if the patient is having a resistance to pyrazinamide alone, you can go for INH, rifampicin, ethambutol regime. There's no harm. Again, you have to give for 9 months treatment. But if the patient is having polyresistant tuberculosis, so when you say resistant to rifampicin, you mean more than rifampicin, other drugs are also resistant. So what do you do then?
Sir, in case of polyresistant TB, the total duration of treatment will be between 18 to 24 months, sir.
Okay, you can add rifampicin,
ethambutol,
pyrazinamide, fluoroquinolones for 9 months. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If the patient is resistant to INH and ethambutol, you can go for rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and quinolones for 9 months. If the patient is resistant to INH and pyrazinamide, then you use rifampicin, ethambutol, fluoroquinolone again for 9 months.
Yes, sir.
If the patient is resistant to INH and pyrazinamide, ethambutol also, then your option is only rifampicin plus fluoroquinolones, and one more additional orally giving drugs as linezolid, clofamicin, bedaquiline, and so on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what are the factors that decide the outcome in this type of drug-resistant tuberculosis? What factors decide the outcome?
Sir, the resistance, the drug resistance, compliance to the drugs decide the outcome, sir. And then the comorbidity status of the individual, whether he has diabetes, hypertension, or any coexisting HIV infection, they decide the outcome, sir. If it's coexisting HIV, the outcome is unfavorable, sir.
So, prompt treatment, correct regimen, close monitoring, adherence from the patient side. Okay, very
Yes.
important factors. So,
Yes, sir.
successful treatment depends upon the drug. Can you name some side effects of these drugs? What are the problems with these drugs? Are all the safe drugs or are there problems?
Sir, no, sir. Each drug has a side effects, sir. Like rifampicin can cause flu-like syndrome, abdominal syndrome, reddish discoloration, orange discoloration of urine, interstitial nephritis, thrombocytopenia, immune-mediated, can be caused by rifampicin, sir. Rifampicin is hepatotoxic, sir. Pyrazinamide is
Which one?
rifampicin, sir.
Okay, rifampicin hepatotoxic. Okay, so different types of 5 different types of syndromes. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Then
Pyrazinamide can cause hyperuricemia. It can cause most hepatotoxic drug out of these four is pyrazinamide, sir.
yes.
Isoniazid can cause peripheral neuropathy, hepatotoxicity. Isoniazid is also known to cause some psychiatric symptoms, sir. So in case to prevent this peripheral neuropathy, we have to supplement B6, sir, because it depletes B6 to form pyridoxal, sir, and it is not able to take up the pyridoxal for consumption, sir.
Do you give vitamin B6 for all patients on INH or only selected patients who are likely to develop side effects?
Sir, we give to all, sir. All patients we give, sir. But few patients who are slow acetylators develop peripheral neuropathy, who are fast acetylators develop hepatotoxicity, sir.
So it is said that if you give this B6, the effectiveness of the drug may also become less. So it is said that you supplement when there is high risk of developing neuropathy, like people who are alcoholics, diabetics,
Yes.
HIV positive patients who are malnourished. So
Yes, sir.
identify the group of patients who are high risk for developing neuropathy, they must be given. Others
Okay.
optional. Okay, then any other side effects?
Sir, ethambutol, sir.
Please,
Optic
Petra.
red-green color blindness, sir.
Which one?
Ethambutol, sir.
Yes, that's right.
And then levofloxacin, QT prolongation it can cause, sir.
Okay.
Then,
Levofloxacin, does it affect your brain?
yes, sir, increase the seizure potential, sir. If the patient is a known case of seizure disorder, avoiding fluoroquinolones is better, sir. Both moxifloxacin and levofloxacin increase the risk of seizures, sir.
Also, behavioral problems you can have.
Sir, with fluoxetines, they can have hallucinations, sir.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Other drugs?
Sir, other drugs, kanamycin, capreomycin can cause acute kidney injury, sir. Hypomagnesemia, hypokalemia they can cause, sir. They are nephrotoxic, then they are ototoxic also. And they also, in case of they weaken the neuromuscular junction effect, sir. Cyclosin can cause psychiatric disturbances.
They can come with tinnitus, confusion, depression, loss of balance, and tremor. So they are all known side effects of kanamycin in addition to aminoglycosides. Yes. Then
Cycloserine, sir, psychiatric disturbances.
okay, cycloserine is a neurotoxic drug.
Yes, sir.
What
It
all
can
things
also
produce?
cause pyridoxine deficiency, sir.
Yes, what all things it can produce?
Hallucinations, seizures, psychosis, depression, behavioral disturbances.
Okay. Next drug.
Sir, ethionamide, sir.
Yes, what does it produce?
Ethionamide has cross tolerance with INH, sir. It
That's
can also produce psychosis, seizures, hallucinations, sir. CNS involvement is more, sir.
Yes. So this patient also had a chlorpheniramine.
Yes, sir.
What can it produce? Side effects.
Sir, ichthyosis. Skin becomes scaly, reddish, orange discoloration of the skin can be there with clofazimine, sir.
Any other side effects?
Neuropathy can be caused, sir. Clofazimine can cause neuropathy, sir.
Any other? It produces depression and suicidal tendency.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any other drug? Moxifloxacin is received. Moxifloxacin.
Yes, sir. Moxifloxacin QT prolongation, sir.
Moxifloxacin is very neurotoxic. It produces severe peripheral neuropathy.
Yes,
And
sir.
that neuropathy is not reversible.
Okay, sir.
Irreversible. It can produce effect on the higher functions, confusions, hallucinations, suicidal tendency, and so on.
Yes, sir.
Pretomanide is a new drug now. What are
Yes.
side effects?
Sir, pretomanide can cause depression, CNS manifest
Peripheral neuropathy.
peripheral neuropathy.
What about bedaquiline?
Bedaquiline prolongation of QT, increased risk of arrhythmias, hepatotoxicity. Dose has to be adjusted in case of renal injuries.
Again, it produces peripheral neuropathy.
Yes, sir.
What about linezolid?
Linezolid can produce bone marrow suppression, sir, thrombocytopenia, anemia. When combined with isoniazid or monoamine oxidase B inhibitors, it can cause serotonin syndrome, myalgia, arthralgia. It can cause, sir. It can also cause increased risk of peripheral neuropathy, sir.
That's right. Okay, very good. So you have primary drugs, you have secondary drugs, and we have enumerated almost all side effects of these drugs.
Yes, sir.
So after hearing the side effects and seeing this patient, what do you think?
Sir, most of the side effects are due to the drugs, sir. It is drug induced, sir.
So what is meant by XDR TB? Extensively drug resistant TB.
When the patient does not respond to therapy with rifampicin, isoniazid, pyrazinamide, and then the second line therapy, cycloserine, ethionamide, and kanamycin, capreomycin.
So already,
yes, sir.
Yes, the patient is resistant to all these drugs, so you have to try this combination.
Yes, sir.
It's a toxic combination you have to try. And coming to the nervous system, you already mentioned many side effects. Look at this. We have used this patient, the INH, we have used patient ethionamide, cycloserine, linezolid, moxifloxacin. All of them can produce bad peripheral neuropathy.
Yes, sir.
And this patient has received earlier INH, then he has developed a cycloserine, ethionamide, linezolid, all psychosis producing combinations.
Yes, sir.
Then we have given again drugs which can produce seizures, and we have given the psychiatrist has treated this patient.
Yes, sir.
So what are the features of serotonin syndrome?
Sir, tremors, clonus, then agitated state, restlessness,
Temperature?
sodium,
Temperature?
increased, sir. Fever will be there, sir.
Hyperthermia. So this patient had a clonus also, no?
Yes, sir.
So course of the hospital, we did was we stopped the antipsychotics and escitalopram discontinued. Why did we stop the antipsychotics and why did we stop the escitalopram?
Since the patient had a rest tremor, the antipsychotic could be a cause for resting tremor, sir. Hence, antipsychotics were stopped, sir. Escitalopram is an SSRI. The patient is on linezolid. Combining an SSRI with linezolid will actually cause serotonin syndrome. That could also account for some of these features like hyperthermia, clonus, agitation. So we stopped the escitalopram, sir.
Escitalopram is a drug that can produce myoclonus.
Yes, sir.
So we thought that myoclonus is because of the escitalopram, and the extrapyramidal features is because of the psychotic drugs they use for this patient. So
yes,
we
sir.
just gave vitamins and protein supplemented, and after 2 weeks patient started walking, higher functions improved, no more hallucinations. He started talking, higher function became absolutely normal. Tremor and myoclonus subsided. So what your explanation is?
Part of the problem was probably due to the drug induced and possibly with toxic and nutritional factors involved, sir.
There is no clue for nutritional factors except that vitamin D was deficient.
Yes, sir.
Assume that a person who is having chronic disease, who is having poor appetite, may not be eating well, particularly when he was not well and incoherent and all, he was not eating properly. We thought that may also be playing a part.
Yes, sir.
So we put final diagnosis as
Pre-extensively drug-resistant TB with overlapping side effects of drugs and nutritional factors, sir. So that we are not sure of the nutritional factor, that is vitamin D, sir. Mostly these effects were caused due to drugs, sir.
Nutritional vitamin D was deficient was measured. Others
Yes.
were not measured.
Okay, sir.
It's only presumption. And also there were some clue that he had some ischemic changes that
Yes.
would have also contributed to some of the.
Yes, sir. Vascular.
So this is a case of 2 years history of a drug-resistant TB coming to us, pre-extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, any questions you have got about this patient?
Sir, in case of a extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis, while we are giving bedaquiline linezolid also, he has a risk of developing side effects, no, sir, like peripheral neuropathy, psychological effects.
But then, when you are dealing with a resistant tuberculosis, your options are limited.
Yes, sir.
On the one hand, you are looking at the side effects. Other hand, you are looking at the life of the patient.
Yes, sir.
That's a problem. So,
Yes.
when there is a evidence that he has got resistant tuberculosis, that needs to be taken care of.
Yes, sir.
That's a problem. So, this patient had a treatment and he has improved. He is under follow-up, and let us see how he goes.
Yes, sir.
Maybe after 2 months, he'll be completing the treatment. 2 years. By August 10th, he'll be stopping all medications. As of now, he has no evidence of TB anywhere. His CSF was normal. X-ray test currently is normal. He's not having fever or any evidence anywhere. Hopefully, he is recovering. Except for the bad side effects of neuropathy.
Yes, sir. Sir, can this fever be caused due to this escitalopram and antipsychotics, sir?
The antipsychotics has contributed to the extrapyramidal features, and escitalopram has contributed to the myoclonus. Neuropathy can be explained by side effects of the drugs. So also psychosis can be explained. And these infarct can also explain to a certain extent certain things.
Yes, sir.
So I don't think it's a one particular factor that is produced. Multifactorial, very important contributions by the drugs.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? How many cases you have seen drug-resistant tuberculosis, and what are the problems of the drugs you have used for those patients?
Sir, multi-drug resistance we have seen, sir, here. Usually isoniazid-induced peripheral neuropathy is common, sir. Patients on tuberculosis, normal tuberculosis, they come with peripheral neuropathy, sir. They also have, while repeating the LFT, we can see transaminitis, sir, in case of patients with TB. We have seen one case of optic neuritis, sir, ethambutol induced, sir. And also many cases of gout, sir, gout due to pyrazinamide, sir.
What about second line drugs?
Sir, second line, we have seen this RFT derangement, sir. AK, acute kidney injury due to kanamycin, streptomycin, amikacin, sir. And psychiatric illness caused due to cycloserine, ethionamide is also quite common, sir.
Okay. I think this is an interesting case, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
More so from the neurological point of view, evidence of neuropathy, pyramidal lesion, extrapyramidal lesion, myoclonus, all combination. Although not good for the patient, for academic purpose, it may be useful to work out.
Yes, sir.
Retrospectively, everything looks simple, but as and when the patient came, it was a problem.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ginesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.